Yay Media Group.
All of a sudden, my heart started feeling like it was going to pop out of my chest, and I couldn't get it to calm down. And then I got cold and I started shaking, and I couldn't control my shaking. And I was like, something's weird. Hey guys, episode 116. We have a lot to talk about. Jeff and I and our boys went to Chicago.
Right.
Jeff got to see his family, and then I rented a car and drove 5.5 hours down south and saw my grandparents. It was good. Seeing your grandparents and my aunt, it's good for the soul. It makes you feel good.
Yes, it was good to get home. We just got back on Monday. Like I said, full transparency. Today is Wednesday. This episode will be coming out on Monday. We got home a couple hours ago. Jordan was gone. She had a good trip. She'll fill you in a little bit. But I got to see my parents, which I didn't get home for the holidays. So that was very nice. And the kids got to see their grandma and grandpa. We got to see some other family members. It was my sister-in-law's 50th birthday. So we went out and had like a party bus and had some beers, and we went to a couple bars in Naperville where they live. And it was just, we used to go to like Jimmy Buffett concerts when they were in college, and I was even young. And we went for like 10 years. That was the thing that
Jeff
we did.
was like the little brother that tagged along.
Totally. But I knew my brother's friends my whole life. They're all of his college buddies. They all stick together. They have a great relationship. But it's been so long, I'm 46. We did this when I was 20 years old, younger, older, all those years. And it was just like a time warp, but going forward in time, seeing everybody, because I haven't seen them in a while. And you walk in and I'm like, oh my God, everybody's exactly the same and what's going on. And we're just all older. Like my hair is gray. Everyone's just a little bit older, and people are starting to resemble their parents that I knew like back in the day. It was just such a trip just to see it. We had such a great time. My cousin came, and then we went over to Pasta di Arte, a restaurant that we talked about, saw a couple of my other friends. So it was just a good whirlwind of a trip.
I met my brother Peyton there. And If you follow Peyton, he posts every single move he does. So there were way too many pictures.
Too many pictures. But we had a good trip. You got to see your grandparents. I think it's, like you said, feeding the soul. It's important to, if you're lucky enough to have, your grandparents in your life, or even your parents, family and friends, it's good to keep those people around, close, in your heart, reminisce, and it kind of takes you away from your everyday problems that aren't such problems, right? It brings you back to where you started, and you're like, these people love me, they accept me for who I am. And I don't know, it's just good. It's a cleansing,
That's exactly how it is. Like I felt like that with my grandparents and my aunt. My aunt drove down. She lives in a couple towns over, and it's nice. We just sat. We didn't do anything. We just sat and we talked for hours, and it's the people who love you. It's your safe space. And you're talking about old times. You're talking about life now, what you're going through. And my grandpa, he is super religious. He's Christian. He always makes me feel better. He's always got wise words to say to me. And I love listening to him. So normally if I'm down or things are going on, he definitely helps lift me up and makes me feel better, because it's funny, when I went there, you pull up in the driveway, and I was just like so thankful, because not that many people get to go to say they have their grandparents still alive.
Oh, yeah.
And when I pulled up, it's just the same, like how my grandma meets you at the door. And then when I was leaving, it's exactly how it is when I leave and you're backing out of the driveway. My grandpa's always walking down, waving. And there's not going to be that many years of that. My grandma on Monday turns 87. I kept saying 89. She's going to be 87. And I told them, I was like, I got to get down here more. Like, I can tell that they're getting older, and you just really, really appreciate your grandparents and the time that you get with them.
Yeah. Life is short. You're lucky to have your grandparents, right? Still around. But I mean, your parents, your loved ones, time is time is limited, and it makes you, like I said, not to get too philosophical on the whole thing, but what's really important? You know what I mean? You don't have that new car. You don't have that other thing that you want. It's just all of your stuff is just stuff. You know
Right.
what I mean? And then at the end of the day, what really fulfills you is your family and good friends and people that love you. All that other stuff on the internet, what you think you're competing or keeping up with the Joneses, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be on your deathbed and be like, hey, remember when I was 38 and I couldn't afford that car, or that person in my neighborhood made fun of me, or that person on the internet wrote something bad about me? You're not thinking about that. You're
Right.
thinking about your kids, your mom and dad. I don't know. It does kind of get deep if you think about it that way, and it makes you appreciate what's important.
I definitely feel like I'm changing and getting older because you appreciate those times so much more because you don't know how much longer you're going to have with them.
Yeah.
So I really took the time. I wasn't on my phone. I wasn't posting pictures. I took videos that I was like, I'll wait to do that when I get back home. But I was just like in the moment
Yeah.
with my family. And
I
same
was
with you.
I was too. I didn't post anything while
I
we were
posted
gone.
our Valentine's Day dinner we did.
Yes. Yeah. Oh,
And
that
we
was
had a good
nice.
time.
We had a good dinner.
Jeff goes, we need to do this more often. We laughed so much. And we don't do it enough. And it's when you're places like that and you have your parents where your kids
Yes.
love, like Leighton cried when he got teary-eyed when we left Jeff's mom. He's like, I miss grandma. And I used to do that when I would leave my grandma. I would hold on to her leg and while she was going out the door. It was so sad. I cried all the way halfway back to Chicago after leaving my grandparents. I started crying. My grandpa prayed for me and my grandma, and I started crying. I cried like half the way home.
Yeah, well, to get off we're getting a little deep
I
here,
know.
but like not posting things and enjoying your grandparents and we went to medieval times, and I'm sure everyone has heard of medieval times, watch the cable guy, down, 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 red knight's going down. And then when we got there, we were the red knight. So I was mad I couldn't use that quote, is the
Mhm.
thing. But anyways, the kids loved it. If you haven't been, it's kind of like Broadway with the dinner, I really enjoyed it. My parents have never been there. So just me, my parents, and we took the kids, and the kids loved it. It was such a good time. And
Lawson wore
Yeah.
his medieval crown at the airport.
yeah, you get this paper like crown to represent your knight. There's like 6 different knights. It's pretty, everyone knows what that is. But yeah, you get this paper crown. It's a red crown. So we're the red knight. And he wore it all the way home through the airport and on the airplane.
He was so happy.
So
And
excited.
then
Oh my
your
God.
mom would do exactly what I would do. Got him these swords that they're very big.
So I went to the bathroom, and they kind of get you. There's like gift shops and things like that where you got to spend a little extra money. So my mom likes to spoil the kids, and I'm like, I'm going to run to the bathroom, get them like a light up sword or something. You know what I mean? Something they could cheer with, and that's it. I come back. Lawson has a ninja, like a straight up samurai sword. That's like it's like, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet long. First of all, a samurai sword in medieval times. I don't even know if why did they have that sword? And then Leighton got this big barbarian sword that was like 3 feet long, like the biggest swords they had. And I walked back. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? Those won't even fit in a suitcase. So now my parents have 2 giant swords at their house. Yeah. They're plastic swords, obviously, for the kids.
That's what grandparents do. And the boys know they'll do it.
Oh man, yeah.
And they, your mom, and dad are both very good with them, and the boys adore them. And I mean, all the time here at the house, it's every other day. They want to call Grandma Mary on the FaceTime portal, and they just show her toys, or they just talk about absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
All
right. We don't want to bore you. Just want to catch you up a little bit, how our trip went and, what's important to us. So it really meant a lot. We just got back last night, but we do want to fill you in on some other stuff that also happened last night. And when we get back, we're going to talk about panic attacks and get into it a little bit of, just stick around. You'll hear it. All right. We'll be back.
So you all know we are loyal AG1 followers. I truly believe in their product. Right now, it's super cold. Very cold temps. And I've been slacking with my walking a little bit, not walking as much as I would do in the summer. But when you drink your AG1, it does help you stay on track and stay on track to meet your fitness goals.
It makes you feel like you're doing something good. And
Yeah.
obviously it's good for you.
You're feeding your body the vitamins it needs.
There you go, with all the prebiotics and probiotics and all the other vitamins that come in there. We just got back from Chicago for maybe a 5-day weekend, and I'm not that active or work out like I usually do, and I'm off my routine. But the one thing that I do keep routine, even if I am on vacation, is my AG1 every single morning. Take my travel packets on vacation. Super easy. First thing I do in the morning is take my AG1. And it does kind of make me feel like I'm doing something good for my body.
Yeah. And when you go out of town, it's some things that you might not typically eat. You eat because you're like, oh, I'm on vacation. I can do that. Or drinking. With the alcohol, having drinkies with your old buddies, and your immune can get down, and the AG1 helps. So it's so easy with your AG1. All you have to do is 1 scoop, and we always talk about the spoon. It makes you feel important because it's so nice the way the packaging comes. But how I do my AG1, I do 1 scoop, and then I put a little bit of vitamin D3 K2 drops in mine, mix it in water, and shake. I do 4 ounces in mine. You do 4 ounces, I think, right?
Yes, I just put a little bit in there, pound it. And I also use their beautiful water bottle. Speaking of packaging, it comes with a spoon. It makes you feel important. And trust me, you might think a spoon and a water bottle. Once you open it up, you do feel important. And it's good to treat yourself once in a while. I take my AG1 even on the plane as my water bottle, and it strikes up a conversation. Hey, do you like that AG1? Even from strangers that don't know us.
I know. And I love the tumblers that come with it, just because you can take it on your trip, just like you did in Chicago.
So exactly what I just said.
Yeah.
It's never too late to create a new healthy habit for 2025. And that's one thing I really love. Even though March is around the corner, or we're already here, you could still start your fitness journey over. Even if you ran into some bumps in the road, get back on that fitness journey. So try AG1 for yourself. It's something I've actually been able to stay consistent with, like I just said. And that's why I've been partnered with AG1 for so long. And AG1 is offering new subscribers a free $76 gift when you sign up. You'll get a welcome kit, a bottle of D3K2, and 5 free travel packets, exactly what we were talking about, in your first box. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/togetherness. That's MESS to get this offer. That's drinkag1.com/togetherness to start your new year on a healthier note.
Okay, welcome back. First of all, I do want to say prayers to my sister. My sister's in the hospital right now. They don't know what's going on. She's in excruciating pain, vomiting, everything. So I think it could be what they're thinking, maybe an appendix, a rupture, or kidney stones. But my mom's keeping me updated right now. I have my phone down because I told her we were recording the podcast, but she's back in pain again, and they still don't know what's going on with her. But hopefully they will know soon. So,
all right. Well, speaking of hospitals, like I said, we got back last night around, I think we landed at like 7, got home around 8, got the kids a little food, and we were in bed at 9, popped on White Lotus because the season 3 just started, by the way. Side note, great show. We didn't get to watch. We maybe got 7 minutes in, and then Jordan goes, whew, I'm not feeling good. I think I'm having a heart attack. And it was like, this was only hours ago. So I like to make jokes in uncomfortable situations, but it got kind of serious. It got to the point where we actually called our neighbor who's a nurse, and she was like, her heart rate's skyrocketing. Maybe you need to take her in. So we did end up going to the emergency room last night to get Jordan checked out. And it was really scary. I was like flying down. Luckily the hospital is not too far from us. I want you to jump in here, but I want to get more into the weeds of like the panic attacks and how they start. But yeah, we got her to the hospital. While we were on the way there, Jordan's like, I think I'm going to pass out. She got herself so worked up, and I didn't know if she was just having a panic attack or if she was really having a heart attack. And we got to the ER. I guess we'll start at the end. Everything's fine. Jordan's fine. We wouldn't be doing the podcast if she wasn't fine. It ended up being just a panic attack. But I even had panic attacks way back when I lived in California, and I didn't know how to beat them or talk about them, or you kind of get embarrassed to bring them up. But I think everybody, not everybody, but I think it's very relatable, panic attacks, but people don't want to talk about them, and because they feel embarrassed, it feels like they're weak, but it's something that you really can't control. It really takes some time and practice and sometimes medicine to kind of push those feelings down.
Well, it's
You tell
probably
your
a
side. I
lot
just
of
wanted to intro it.
things
Yeah.
built up. And because I shouldn't be, but I worry a lot and I just stress about my kids. I stress about Jeff. I stress about home. I mean, it's just a lot of things. So when I was standing in baggage claim, I was like, I feel kind of weird. And then I started getting hot and I was like, nothing's wrong with you. And I didn't even think panic attack. I just kind of felt weird. And when the boys were talking about getting food, like wanting to go through like a drive-through, the reason why I wanted to DoorDash was because I was feeling weird and I just wanted to get home, but I didn't
Oh,
tell you that. So I was just in the car. I kind of kept rubbing my chest because I was like, I feel funny. So I was having acid reflux, and when I got home, I took some Tums, and I was having a bad headache, but I still have to get the kids to bed. I got things I have to do. And then when I was taking a shower, both my feet went numb. And I was like, why are my feet numb? Normally, I've been having this problem. My right foot goes numb and I don't know what it is. I'm actually going to my doctor tomorrow. But both my feet were numb, but I just ignored it and I didn't say anything to Jeff how I was feeling. And then I told him, I go, oh, I'm so happy to be back in the bed. And we turned on White Lotus, completely fine. And then all of a sudden, my heart started feeling like it was going to pop out of my chest, and I couldn't get it to calm down. And then I got cold and I started shaking and I couldn't control my shaking. And I was like, something's weird. And so I got up and I was like, I feel like I'm going to pass out, but I got up and started walking around. I was like, I need to
yeah.
walk around. And just because I was just like shaking like this, I couldn't stop it. So I have Xanax that I don't take. I only take them if something like this is going on. So like a prescription of Xanax could last me 7 months, a year, because I don't take them. And that's why I'm prescribed them, because I don't abuse them. I just feel like I have to say that because people are very sensitive
Right.
when you say you take Xanax. And so Jeff gave me a Xanax, and it didn't help. I was like, and normally my Xanax, it'll calm me down and I'm okay. And it wouldn't stop. And I was like, it's off. So then that's when I text my neighbor, and my blood pressure was really high. And she just suggested you guys should go.
Or maybe your blood pressure was high. Your heart rate wasn't,
My
right?
heart rate was high. She was checking. I don't. When you go to the doctor, what is that? A pulse?
They put it on your finger?
Yeah. So she did that, and then she took my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was. I think she said it was, I don't know. I was freaking out at the time. I think it was 179/90.
168.
No, it was more than that.
It was?
I thought it was.
It was high.
It was
Whatever
super
it was,
high.
yeah.
So she was like, oh, it's really high. So I told her, I was like, I feel funny. And I kept feeling like, I feel like my chest is tightening. So, but again, that could be anxiety.
Yes,
So Jeff she went over the house. We have the best neighbor. She went over the house. Another neighbor came over and worked, and then she went home because she has her 4 kids. And then we went to the emergency room. I just told them what I was feeling. And I was embarrassed. I was like, I feel embarrassed that I'm here. I was like, but I just want to get checked out, because I had seen a doctor that he used to work with, and this was before our trip. And she said my EKG, my heart patterns were off. And so that kind of was in my head too.
Right.
Like maybe I am having one. And my mom had a heart attack at 42. And so just to get peace of mind. And
no, you needed it. It was like beyond the point of like talking you.
I've never had a panic attack so bad before, ever. I've never had, and I'm new to panic attacks. My panic attack started in 2020. So it's something I'm learning how to control. Calm my mind. And I think what it is it's just everything I put on me, and it just, I was worried about the flight because all you see are plane crashes now.
For sure. That was definitely one of
And I
them.
haven't been drinking alcohol, so I knew alcohol wasn't a cause of my panic attack. Um, I ate good at my grandparents. I probably ate bad more at your parents' house, like eating more fried food. So they gave a doctor gave me blood pressure medicine to take because I guess I have high blood pressure. Anyways, I'm not getting into all that because I don't know what's going on. But it was just a really bad panic attack. But the nurse was very sweet. She made me feel better because I told her, you feel like you're wasting their time because at the moment, I was like, I am having a heart attack. Like this is happening right now. And and the doctor, when he told me I was fine, I was like, I still feel it in my chest. As I'm doing this podcast right now, my chest right here feels tight. It doesn't feel like the contracting, but again, it could be I got stuff going on at home right now. I was like worried about my sister, which I'm glad I went last night because if finding out what was going on with my sister today, if I would have never went, I probably would have freaked out even more.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
had the panic attack. And I feel bad because I feel like I stressed you out.
You didn't stress
Our
me out at
kids
all.
were asleep. The kids didn't even know I left the house. So
Yeah,
that's
again,
good.
our neighbors are so sweet. We love them so much. Like I said, one of our neighbors is a nurse, came over, did that. Her husband's out of town, so her 4 kids are at home. She's in our house while we go, and she's like, you better take her to the hospital. She's in our house while we go to the hospital. Her kids are all alone over there. Then finally, my other neighbor, I'm like, hey, is anybody around to just sit in the kitchen? The kids are upstairs sleeping, like whatever. So then our other neighbor woke up and came over, and Julie went back to her house with her
Yeah, because
kids.
she's got her kids.
Yeah. And then Mark comes to our house. Thank God. And then Jordan, the doctor, comes in, long story short. He's like, I checked your heart rate, everything. They hooked her up to a machine. He goes, it is 100%
Fine.
totally normal.
Yeah.
And so right away, that put me at ease. I kind of figured it was a panic attack anyway, but it was getting really bad. So once he said that, plus it's kind of like being on an airplane. When the stewardess aren't freaking out, there's nothing to freak out about. Nobody cared that Jordan was there. So I'm like, I think she's having a heart attack. And they're like, okay, what's your name? What's your birthday? Nobody cared, right? So it kind of and I'm not saying, of course they cared, but I'm saying they don't panic. So you get put at ease is what I'm trying to say.
What made me feel better, because I was embarrassed that I went, and the nurse said, we had a guy come in tonight that's your age and same kind of symptoms, acid reflux, his back was hurting, headache. And she goes, and he was here and then went under cardiac arrest. And she goes, and he's upstairs right now. And she goes,
but she was telling you that story to be like, it could be a lot worse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
but
you have nothing to worry about.
You just feel like do they think I'm crazy? Do they think I'm like dramatic and like I'm making this up? Because I'm like, what I was feeling was real. But another thing, so Jeff, I'm like, go home. I'm fine. And because he needed to be home with the kids, and our neighbors work.
They had work. I knew Jordan was fine at this point, so I wanted to relieve my neighbor. They did enough for us, so I wanted to go home, and I'm like, listen, I'll just pack the kids up, because then like it could be 1 hour to 4 hours. So I'm like, I'll just pack the kids up and put them in the car.
Yeah, so I was like, no. And then Mark's wife got in the car and drove, and she works. I was like, what are you doing? And showed up at the hospital.
I didn't even know she did that.
And sat with me. And we just talked, and I felt so bad. I was like, you need to go home. I'm fine. And she's like, no, I'm taking you home. So she sat with me because she has panic attacks like I do. And she's like, I had the exact same thing happen to me years ago. But she was like, I was begging them not to let me leave, because it's scary. You feel like you're dying.
Yeah, it's crippling. If you haven't had one, be thankful. But let's take a quick break. I just want to get into a little bit like how mine got started and how I got rid of them on my own without medication.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back. Okay, welcome back. Yeah, so panic attacks are no joke. And even the nurses and the doctors, they took it real seriously. When I say they didn't care, obviously they cared. They were putting you at ease when they do that. So, and they were saying it's no joke. Like, I'm glad you came in, because it does give you a peace of mind. And when you're having one, there's no controlling it. in the beginning, at least, till you figure out what it is. For me, I'll give a quick rundown. I was in LA, didn't have any money. I was partying more than I probably should have been, and just running around, not sleeping a lot, getting up, going to auditions, working late night hours, then drinking at night after my shift, just into that 20s lifestyle. And then one day I was standing outside, I was doing security, and I'm like, I can't breathe, man. I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I thought I was having a heart attack. That's what it feels like, but I've never had a heart attack, so I don't know. But that's what it feels like. And finally, I talked to my buddy because I was like scared. And he goes, dude, I think you're having a panic attack. I used to get those. And so that kind of put me at ease when he talked about it and like getting a little bit of knowledge on it. I went home like a couple days later and I used to get Men's Health. And, so weird. People don't even get magazines anymore. So I used to get Men's Health magazine. One of the articles in there, it said having panic attacks or something about panic attacks. And I was like, what? So I read the whole article, and it was describing me to a T. And at the end of the article, it said, you could beat this in your mind, so to speak. You could definitely get on medication to ease some of the symptoms, but this is all in your head. No one has ever died of a panic attack. That was the gist of the end of the article. And it made me feel better because I'm like, okay, this is all in my head. I actually went to the library in Los Angeles to do more research on it, to understand it better. And the more I did research on it, or the more I understood, or someone else explained to me, they're like, you can't die. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, I don't want to use that analogy of flying in a plane, but I don't like flying either. But it's like, do you know how many the odds of you getting in a plane crash are as opposed to like a car accident? They always use that old adage, like the odds are that you have a better chance of getting an accident on the way to the airport than you do in actually a plane. That's kind of like a panic attack. Nothing's going to happen to you, but you stress your body out so much that when you're done or it finally goes away, the symptoms, your body's exhausted. And I feel like that's what your chest right now, I think feel like you were so worked up that if we didn't make it to the hospital, you would have worked yourself so much that you would have passed out. Because I was like holding on your leg and you started to get like loopy eyes, like on the way to the hospital. I was like flying and I passed the cop. I don't know how he didn't pull me over. But then I was in my head like thinking, oh my God, if he pulls me over, I'm going to be like, I don't know. I thought I was like in a movie or something. Like, follow me. She's having a heart attack. I was scared. I was scared for you because I didn't know what was happening. But yeah, so there are things you could do to relieve those symptoms, or there are ways you could fight it without medication. If you are one of those people out there struggling with that, I think it's very, very common. And again, something that a lot of people don't talk about because they see it, I know for myself, like as a sign of weakness in some sort of way, and like, why is my body doing this? But you put a lot on your plate, and I think we all do, like with social media and family and getting everything perfect and making sure you have the perfect life because what you see on Instagram is perfect. Their life isn't perfect, and we're trying to chase this dream or keep up with these Joneses, so to speak. And it's just unrealistic. And we put ourselves through so much stress these days instead of just enjoying what we talked about, visiting with our parents, enjoying the little things, having great neighbors. We have way more things to be thankful for than we do to be worried about,
It's
so
true.
When you have to put those and the positivity and those things that I practice every day, that's all part of like, not having and once in a while it'll rear its head, those panic attacks. And I'll feel myself like holding my pulse. And I'm like, oh dude, you're freaking out. Calm down. But then what happens? It's after a night when I was drinking too much and I ate like shit and I'm worried about something. All those exact signs that I read about are what triggered whatever's going on in my own personal body.
Yeah, it's true. It's just, and it's so scary because you, at that time, you feel like it's happening. You're like, oh my gosh, this is how it's going down. You think like you're dying.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like because you can't catch your breath.
Mine, though, get like if I've never had one like how I had last night. So I don't know. I mean, and it came out of nowhere, but mine will get where I'm like, and I start and I can't stop it. And I don't know what, but then, yeah. So,
but your mind is so
powerful.
We were talking about it a little bit when you were calming down, and I talked with my neighbor when I got home. Like, it is so powerful. You could control like your mind is controlling what's going on with your body.
Mm-hmm.
So your body, your heart rate is actually fine, but you're thinking your chest is caving in. Your heart rate is through the roof and all those things. I know your heart rate was elevated, but nothing like a heart attack.
Right.
But your mind is tricking you into thinking all these things. And that's why if you kind of reverse that effect, again, we are not doctors, obviously, but so we're just giving our personal advice on this. If you are feeling like symptoms and things like that, you should contact a doctor, contact a therapist, somebody that knows more about this, but we're just giving our personal opinion. But if you reverse that process and feed your mind with positivity and good thoughts, it kind of reverses that whole process. If you're like I could point out the symptoms right now. You weren't happy about flying because of everything going on with all these airlines. And the latest one, that one flipped over in Alaska. And that was the last plane. She just saw that before.
No, it's in Toronto.
Or Toronto, I'm sorry.
Canada.
The plane flipped over on the runway, and I know you were having anxiety about 101 other things. That was just the cherry on top. So I think after we got home and you relaxed, and I don't know, I think everything just bam hit you at once, because I know you're stressed about our insurance is all wonky. My job is up in the air.
We found out the boy. Well, we didn't even go into all that.
Well, we found out some good news too. I don't want to say anything. There are some good things going on. So we're very thankful for that. On the next episode, hopefully I have better news to report. It's good news, but nothing official right now. So I think all those things on top of each other is kind of what triggered your panic attack. There's some other things that we haven't mentioned.
It's things I think panic attacks for me happen a lot more in the winter, colder months, because in the summertime, I'm always outside. And even like when it gets warm, even if I did have any feeling anxious, I would go outside and get sun on my face for 15 minutes and breathe. And then instantly I felt better just being outside. And in the winter months, you're inside more. There's not much to do. You're not as active. I haven't been as active. And that's something that I need to, because I like walking outside. I don't like being inside. That's why I never use this gym in here, because I like just being out walking and getting fresh air. And it's something that I need to make a change, because I think if I was walking like I was doing 5 days a week, I don't think this would have happened, because it helps you walking and exercise. And that's something that I need to work on, but it's just a load. And if people probably notice, I haven't been posting as much on social media. Social media can give me anxiety too, with just it's always like trying to keep up and post, and it's just like brands don't want to work with you if you don't have that engagement. It's just like it gets so, and
that's where your pressure, that's where some of your anxiety comes from.
Just exhausting, and then just trying to it's just everything. And being with my grandparents, my grandpa, he gives me like really good advice. And when I was there, I just so calm. It's just like you get so wrapped up into things and what people say about you, and then it might upset you, things that people say. And then it's like, why am I worried? What am I doing? Like,
that some bozo talk shit over a text
whether
message,
online, whether it's where you live. And it's like, I know who I am.
Right.
And I know where my heart is with people. And I know I'm a good person. And so I'm like, I have to stop certain things. And when I go to my grandpa and he gives me all these things he's saying, it's like, that does make sense. Why am I doing that? Or like my aunt's a very strong person. And I'm like, I need to be more like my aunt,
Yeah.
Mind your business.
It's really about, like, it kind of, again, comes full circle, because there's two sides to every, double-edged sword, right? There's bad things that make you appreciate the good, but then there's things like, what it comes down to is your family, and you're really close friends that become your family. And that's all that's all that matters. Getting online and reminding yourself of the world's problems and every single thing that goes wrong on an airplane. And if you didn't understand the halftime show, you're a bigot. Like, it's just all these things like piled on. It's like craziness, man.
I know,
It's like,
and
man, it's a song. What's the big deal? Like, why? Like, people just go nuts and pile on everything from politics to women's sports. I could go in a million directions. You know what I mean? To sexuality, religion. People get so nutty, and how much of that really affects your personal daily life? Of course, a lot of that affects people out there, but I can't control the world's problems or what someone else is going through, and vice versa. They can't help me because they're going through their own thing. So I guess the moral of the story in the pot, like, don't stress yourself out. Appreciate what you have. Look at the good things in your life. Don't look at, like T.I. says, whatever that line is. Appreciate what you have, not what you don't have. You know that song? Maria.
Oh yeah. And I was on I was on 2 different antidepressants a while back, and there's nothing wrong with antidepressants. I think sometimes you need them in your life, but for me, I want to try not to do antidepressants, not for anything bad. I'm not saying, because if you need them, you need them. My brother's on antidepressants.
I think a lot of people are on medication. Yeah.
But for me, I always felt like I had no emotion. I felt like I was numb. I couldn't cry if I tried. And I didn't like how I felt. Like, I never got mad. I just didn't have any emotion. I was just numb. And I want to try to fight it myself. And that's just me, how I am. And because I'm like, you've never had anxiety before. And I'm trying to fight it and deal with it myself without getting on medicine.
Yeah. And like I said,
and face it head on.
Yeah. Like we said, though,
if you need it, you need it.
If you really are feeling these symptoms, it's not for everybody just to take it head on. I appreciate your approach. But if you need extra help, there's therapy out there. There's BetterHelp, which is one of our sponsors. That's easy to talk to somebody, and they could guide you in a better direction than we can, obviously. But if you are feeling those, talk to a doctor, talk to a therapist, talk to somebody that could help you more than we can. But that's just something that we went through in our life a little bit, knock on wood, everything was fine now. But I guess when those little things happen, it's a wake-up call to say, hey, you know what? It's not so bad. Life isn't
right.
I put all these things on me that don't really matter in the scheme of things, and I made myself so stressed out that I had to go to a hospital. I thought I was having a heart attack. That's how much pressure you put on yourself, So use that as an example of like, I need to like unburden myself with some of these things, or stop caring what people think or what the internet is. And
and like we were launching the merch, and I was nervous about that because you want that to go smoothly. It's just everything. It's just life.
All right. Well, I don't know. That was kind of good. It's good to talk about things like that, but I'm glad you're feeling better. It was kind of scary.
I know,
it was kind of scary.
Jeff.
It was kind of scary.
Y'all are my therapy.
Yeah.
Just talking about it now, I already feel anxious just bringing it all back up.
When you say panic attack, it's kind of a trigger.
It is.
Just
or
hearing
now
that.
When people say blood pressure, I'm like, oh my gosh. And instantly you put the thing on my arm and my blood pressure goes up because it makes me nervous.
Okay, let's calm back down.
All right, we're going back down.
Take a sip out of your beautiful Togethermess tumbler over there that you could get at togetherness.com. But I'm going to read a quick quote and we're going to get out of your guys' hair. I haven't had a clue as to how my story will end, but that's all right. When you set out on a journey and night covers the road, you don't conclude the road has vanished. And how else could we discover the stars? That was very deep, and no author to give credit to. But
yeah, I hope you guys love this episode, and thank you for downloading, subscribing, and listening. And if you have panic attacks, go to your doctor.
Yeah. No, thank you guys so much. You guys are kind of our family. When we say like therapy and things like that, this is kind of our therapy. So thank you for listening, and thank you for all the kind thoughts and writing in and buying the merch and all that stuff. So you guys make us feel better about ourselves, which is makes us feel good. Okay, that's enough. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.